You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Tropical Storm Maon is making landfall over Luzon this evening. And now the latest from the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for August 23rd. On a live Tropical Weather Bulletin, we're back again looking at what's going on around the world. It's displaced towards the eastern hemisphere though right now with Maon and Tropical Storm Tokage, I believe was the pronunciation on that one. Bit of an odd name, but there it is, moving well off towards the east. Maon is obviously the main issue that we're dealing with today. Day 84 in the Atlantic, and we've got two areas of interest still, both with low chances of development across the main development region. That's still something that's more into the future, next week probably, that we'll be looking out for the Atlantic. Day 101 in the Eastern Pacific, and the ghost of Yvette has finally perished, and we're not really marking anything else at the moment, although National Hurricane Center still have a medium chance for an AOI over there, which we'll check on satellite soon. The Western Pacific shows Maon and Tokage here, and another area of interest to the southeast over there out at sea. But of course Maon is the main feature, obviously the Philippine name being Florita. That's the main reason we're here today. And in the Indian Ocean, we've still got Tropical Depression 4B. Incredibly, around 4 days after it moved inland, it is still going and still classifiable towards the western part of India. Now the music's going to end suddenly, because we've still not fixed that segue, and we're back with some imagery of the Eastern Atlantic at the moment whilst I introduce my team. My name is Nathan Foy here in the studio, and you can see me, and I'm joined by a few people similar to who we had last night actually. We've got David, Lucas and Taniel. Good evening to all of you. How are we?
Fine.
Good evening. Doing good.
Excellent. First thing on our screen is from David there, who's showing us Pegasus cone, which is obviously quite important. This would have been from, that's 5 a.m, so how old is that now? It's a few hours old. Has it made landfall yet?
I'm trying to determine that right now.
It's a close call right now. I know it hadn't
From
earlier, but I'm just checking again.
From what I can tell,
I think
it kind of look. Yeah, I think it has, because if you look at the previous shots of when the eye was visible before it got covered up by convection, it was already a slight bit of it was on shore. And if you kind of just track that central eye, I think half of the eye is at least on shore.
Well, let's see if people can decide for themselves as we look at that satellite imagery there. Signal 3 warnings are in effect right now across northern Luzon. Obviously, that's quite important going through the warnings. So let's take a look at that first here. There is the latest signal warnings. So the orange color there showing the Signal 3 warnings just got an update there. I think that is updated. So Signal 3 for northeastern coast of Isabela, all of the coastal region of Cagayan, and extending inland a little way as well. Signal 2 warnings for very large parts of northern Luzon, extending as far south as northern Aurora, Quirino, the easternmost part of Nueva Vizcaya, and I think that Signal 2 has just been pushed eastwards a little bit there actually. Northern Benguet and Ilocos Sur. And Signal 1 warnings extending further south. This is a new graphic, so I'm just checking if it's extended further south at all. It stayed the same there for the southern extent of the Signal 1 warnings. Now the Babayan group of islands were all under Signal 2 earlier. The northern part of those islands has been downgraded, it seems, to Signal 1, unless I'm mistaken. And the Batanes Islands up there as well, also in Signal 1. So just to give you an idea of all of that right now, that information. And let me just remind myself, as well as everyone else, what those signal warnings actually mean. It's been a while since we did a Philippine storm, so I'm a little bit rusty again. But Signal 3 denotes winds of greater than 121 kilometers per hour up to 170 kilometers per hour. That's around 75 miles per hour through to about 110 miles per hour. So basically covers category 1 and 2 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale. So they're sort of expecting it to become a typhoon based on that info, really. Heavy damage to high-risk structures, moderate damage to medium-risk structures, light damage to low-risk structures. That sort of makes sense. I'm just reading off their impact scale. Increasing damage to old, dilapidated residential structures and houses of light materials. Usual stuff, I think. But also, let's not forget, the rainfall factor is probably still going to be a bigger than normal factor from this storm, although the rain estimates have gone down a little bit, although that might be because it's already striking the area and has delivered some already. But further rainfall amounts we're expecting, I think, somewhere in the region of 300 to 400 millimeters more still at this point. Let's go back to some of that satellite imagery because we didn't get to look at it properly. Here's a close-up of where the storm is right this moment, and just from my perspective, no, I can't work it out actually. I think it's still probably just very slightly offshore. It's a tough one. It is right on the coast though.
Yeah.
Along the coast
slowly
of Isabela.
moving.
Let's take a look at some more imagery. Here's a wider shot showing the water vapor imagery and along a loop as well, just in case you're struggling to get your bearings there. It is a much different type of image. You can see Manila there down towards the bottom, and those green areas denoting very moist environments and high rain rates most likely. And whilst we're here looking at the other storm right now, this is Tokage, which is well off to the northeast of the Ogasawara island chain, which you can just about see there on the bottom left of Japan. That is moving off northwards. Some might say that it's stronger than Maon. One or two are saying Maon is stronger than Tokage. So who knows? And indeed, questionable at this point whether one or both of these storms have reached typhoon strength so far. Does anyone here think that either of them have yet?
Hard to say. But I don't know.
Looking at
Realistically.
I mean, what's this storm's name? Tokage, starting to get, it's spinning up, I'll say. Let me see, actually, y'all can see satellite imagery, let me see. I'll show y'all what I'm looking at.
Let's show you the JTWC cones as well whilst we're here. Oh, David's just got that imagery up. Let's look at this.
It's starting to wrap out. It's starting to wrap around something. The convection's starting to lose off, but I wouldn't say that this is typhoon status, but I will say that this is a strong tropical storm by now.
Yep.
Should be.
I think so too. Currently we've got them both at 65 miles per hour, so quite substantial. And if you've got any comments or questions for us on this broadcast tonight as well, you can feel free to send them in. This is really what we do. We take comments and questions throughout, and we make sure that all of the viewers are, all of your questions are dealt with.
Involved.
Yep. So I'm just looking at one here so far. Will Ma-on become a typhoon or stay as a strong tropical storm? I think it will become a typhoon in the South China Sea. My hunch.
It's too late for Ma-on to be a typhoon because it's likely made landfall, if not already making landfall. But looking at the GFS model does have a moderate typhoon, not moderate, but like a typhoon that forms in the South China Sea from associated with it.
And the JTWC are also forecasting a Category 1 typhoon. They're expecting maximum winds of 70 knots, which is 80 miles per hour. And that's about 120 kilometers per hour, moving towards southern China, passing fairly close to Hong Kong. According to that forecast, they'll be within the gale force winds and close to the 50-knot winds. And then moving inland over southern China and then off towards the west-northwest. Interesting forecast there.
Yeah, the models agree with that as well. GFS at least.
We'll take a look at that in just a moment. I know you've got it on your screen. But also looking at the forecast for Tokage as well. And nothing to be worried about with that one. It is, though, expected to be stronger, according to the JTWC, than Ma-on, with winds of 85 miles per hour. So, but as you can see, moving well out to sea.
Yeah.
All right, we have a few more questions now. Will it be a typhoon, Ma-on? I think so, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
There's still a chance it won't be. It will be quite telling to see what happens with how much it tracks over Luzon and how much it manages to deteriorate whilst that happens. But if it continues this jog to the north, then it will have less land interaction.
True.
Now, Super says, will 90L be a tropical storm or a hurricane? Let's take a look at that region right
it's
now.
It's too far to say, realistically. It looks very bad right now.
Now, a reminder, 90L is the one that we marked when you saw the start of our stream tonight, the one further along in the main development region towards the west. So you can see it here, sort of, but it's hard to make out because it's struggling.
There's literally no convection.
It disappeared.
There is very little. There's really not very much rotation either.
Earlier in the day, it looked all right, but now it kind of looks like it shoved itself into a trash can very heavily.
I didn't actually see how it looked earlier today, so I'll take your word for it.
Well, convection looked okay for a wave, but on
the ATCF system right now, they've got it at 30 miles per hour and a pressure of 1010 millibars. I really don't think it will form. The one behind it might form. What I'm seeing on models now are sort of suggesting that it could be a third system that's going to be fighting with the second system to form later on. But I'm pretty sure in the long run we will eventually get something that comes from Cape Verde. There you can see.
On very long range models, there were two systems.
Yeah, we were just looking at it
doing something.
David's screen now. And this is something that the GFS have been peddling for quite a while. Long-range carnage.
What the? Okay.
What's that, 3? Oh, you're changing between model runs there.
They've been hinting at systems developing for like the last 3-4 days.
But they have been quite all over the place, so there's a model consistency problem there.
Well, isn't GFS not really?
The whole time.
Possibly.
Did anyone hear me for the past 15 minutes?
We have
No.
not,
No.
but it's nice to hear you now, Adafira. Welcome aboard.
Shit.
Great.
Well,
Language.
I was...
Anything you would like to mention about the current storms right now?
Well, I'd say Mahon has a shot of being a hurricane. I'd give it probably an 80-20 of being a hurricane. 80% likely it could be a hurricane. Tokage could become a hurricane, in my opinion, potentially in the next 12 hours. It's looking really good. And then, of course, there's other storms across the world right now. Let's take a look at one I have open. Here's 91E.
Oh, hold on a minute. Let's take a look at your screen for the invest that's currently in the Eastern Pacific.
Here's 91E, just to the west of these volcanic islands. I know the name, I just cannot pronounce them. They're part of the state of Nayarit. That's all I know. No, it's actually Kalima. Correct me.
And I always forget the name. I can pronounce it, but I forget it.
It's like Rayo thing something. So yeah, looking here, you can find the sort of center of rotation. It's not that good. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
the
I'm
NUC is
struggling
put
quite a
this
bit there.
40%. However, I genuinely forget what we have it as. It is
Yes,
very
super. That is
exposed.
the right answer. It is the Revillagigedo Islands.
There, Revillagigedo. That's what it was. Here's just some satellite imagery of the Atlantic. You see a little swirl to the north of the Lesser Antilles.
I did note that earlier. Yes, that's interesting because that's honestly looking better than the invest.
It is actually. Then, of course, here is Mahon actually nearing landfall, if not has already made landfall. It's getting dangerously close. And then Tokage, which is... At first, I thought it was going to develop an eye-like feature, which it still has the shot, but...
It sort of did earlier, a bit of a ragged eye appearance for a while, and convection was sort of falling away, and now it's blown up over that eye as well, so probably does have an eye.
Just hidden under the clouds. And it's trying to get itself to pop out of it. So
this is the entire eastern region. This is the Eastern Pacific region. Let's
see here.
I should slow it down.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah,
just a moment. Let's take a look at this. Yes.
This one was convecting just like a few hours ago, and then it died, and then this one started looking really good, and it still looks decent compared to a few hours ago. It's gotten worse compared to a few hours ago, but I would say that out of these two systems, this one might have a better chance of developing. The bottom one. But that's just my opinion on it. It's getting more convection on it.
All right. A question there. Can Mahon become a typhoon as it hits China? It certainly could. The South China Sea is warm. Temperatures over 30 degrees, possibly in some areas. Particularly in the Gulf of Tonkin.
Earlier.
What's that?
I have already mentioned earlier that I would give it an 80-20 of making a typhoon landfall in China.
I think that's a bit too confident actually at the moment. I might have sided with that a while back, although models appear to have downtrended slightly, and it's more of a 60-40 from my perspective.
Sea surface temperatures as of 12Z.
I would agree with that.
30 degrees on the South China Sea. So this has a shot at developing. This has a shot at developing into a typhoon, but right now sea surface temperatures are really good. I'm trying to see if there's anything that's going to block it. Yes.
Hold on. Let me DM you something. No, I'm just gonna say it out loud. Listen. SST is my gig. You ain't mess with my gig.
Oh dear.
Understand?
Not in the air. Just
All that stuff. That's my gig.
Alright,
there's
well,
wind shear on it.
there's no real
this is
set
why we don't
operations
go
as to
live.
who gets what gig, but there we go. Anyway, this is
I
Tropical Storm Maton, another close-up once again. Take a look at the very large amounts of convection and high convective tops that are blowing up around the storm.
Wow.
Some decent amounts of minus 80 degree cloud tops, as a matter of fact, as it makes landfall, which I think is literally happening right now. To get your landfall location...
We have landfall?
well, it's going to be hard to say a definitive moment, but it's certainly in the process of making landfall. And I would say a landfall position is probably going to be somewhere around within 15 kilometers of Palanan.
Do I have to boot up Flight Sim to confirm for you?
No, but within 15 kilometers of Palanan, I would say, which is where another storm I remember was going live for made a landfall, and I can't remember which one now. But yeah, obviously this part of Luzon gets a very high proportion of tropical cyclone landfalls.
Yes.
There's a question there about how large is it. That's a good question. Earlier today, when I did my update, the wind fields were 70 nautical miles in 3 directions. And let me just check what the JTWC is saying in that regard right now. And they are saying that quite similar, actually. 70 nautical miles in the southeast and southwest, 75 in the northwest, and 65 in the northeast now. So wind diameter there, roughly 140 nautical miles, which is around about, trying to figure this out, about 260 kilometers. So that's a diameter for you. In terms of the rainfall and the cloud profile, that big blob in the center, the diameter of that is about 400 kilometers. The diameter of the whole of the storm's influence, bands and all that stuff, around about 1,800 kilometers. So its wider influence is pretty large.
1,000 miles.
Yeah, over
I
1,000
would
miles.
call
It depends.
landfall.
Depends where you're measuring it, I guess.
I would call landfall.
It's certainly very close. I'm not sure if we're going to make an official proclamation,
I'll tell you momentarily.
but it's very close.
I'm analyzing.
Me too. I'm just
Which
having
means
a little
booting
look
up
at it right
Flight
now.
Simulator for Daniel.
No, I'm actually looking at satellite. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it looks like I may have.
Hey,
been
that's
off
my gig.
Okay, can you just be quiet?
This is 413. This is our gig.
Okay.
Okay.
This storm is clearly on the verge of making landfall right now. Whether it is there or not is pretty irrelevant. The rain rates,
I'm pretty sure it's just
From-
like clipping the side.
indications we're actually getting from rain rate detectors right now, satellite derived rainfall, is that the biggest bulk of rainfall is occurring on the southeastern side at the moment. So the side that's not quite made landfall yet, but will do soon, is probably going to pound the eastern coast with very high rain rates of possibly over 50 millimeters per hour for a little while.
I have a
So,
feeling about
Wait a
Tokage.
minute,
it's pretty serious.
Nathan. I'm about to DM you something. I think you need to look at it.
How
I
dare
think
you, DM Nathan
Well, that
something.
sounds ominous.
Heavy rainfall warning.
All right. Heavy
It
rainfall.
sounds like you're DMing Nathan something.
Heavy rainfall warning for Bataan and Zambales. And that was issued at 8 a.m. I imagine that is not the only heavy rainfall warning out there, to be quite honest. I'll see if I can find any more information, but that's some there that we've just received. obviously, I would really say that anywhere in northern Luzon could see some dangerous rainfall accumulations and rain rates and flash flooding and landslides.
What's storm surge like right now?
Who joined?
I would imagine that storm surge is not particularly high from this one.
Like 1 to 3.
Hello, Josh.
It could be.
Hello.
Welcome aboard. What are your thoughts on Tropical Storm Maon right now? Philippine name Florita.
Well, I just joined, so I don't really know what to expect right now. So,
Is it, well, first of all, I mean, have you seen it at all? And do you think it might be a typhoon at this point? That's the burning question, I think, for most people at the moment.
well, I've seen the cone by Pagasa, so
Pasta?
Pegasa.
yeah.
I think you just said
Sorry for
pasta.
the
It was definitely Pegasa.
I did not hear
Another
yes.
comment there. Do we have data with the storm surge associated with Maon? We don't really get that kind of stuff over here, sadly, which sort of sucks.
Yeah. We only get the stage 1 to 5 warnings.
Let's
This
get
has some significant rotation.
Let's get some more imagery now, and here's another view. Ah yes, the geocolor rapid scan imagery from Himawari 8 showing the visible there popping up, those convective cloud tops. It appears to me you could just see that little convection going round the northern rim of what we would think is the eye. So I would say at this point that
Where that
cool.
convection is,
Bloopers
that's
reel.
around that halfway point of the eye.
You can add my
Oh,
pronunciation.
bloody
in the
hell!
bloopers reel.
I think that's a
God.
landfall, right? All right.
I'm
My
pretty-
cat
I'm-
just
I-
scared the hell out of me.
We really can't have.
Make fun of me. I
Things
don't
like
care.
that.
Okay.
I know.
I have COVID, so I feel muffled.
Oh dear, not very good.
Yeah,
So
well,
are we declaring landfall or?
I think at this point we can call landfall here, that this storm has made landfall on
Landfall!
the part of the land that juts out between Palanan Bay and Divilacan Bay. I'm not sure if that tip of land has a name, but if you're familiar with that area, it is in northern Isabela province, I believe, and that would be a landfall. And I'll give you estimated coordinates around 17.3 north, 122.4 degrees east. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be a landfall, probably followed by a second landfall on the other side of Divilacan Bay. But that's just preliminary right now, and we're not fully sure. But I think that's going to be a landfall there.
Saying probably a good 60-mile-per-hour landfall.
Nathan, what I'm expecting is, like, once it crosses Philippines, I would see some more landfall to China.
Yep, and it could get stronger once again before it does that. Another comment there, an interesting one actually. Is there a chance that 4B will reform? It's still a tropical depression by our analysis in northwestern India, and
Where is it headed?
it
right now?
is sort of headed,
Pakistan.
yeah, so towards that direction.
Yeah,
It won't regenerate. It won't get stronger anymore. It's inland.
it's extremely
Speaking of
unlikely
which-
that this is going to redevelop because it's going to be crossing into the very dry mountainous regions of Pakistan and
Event, and if it somehow survives southeast Iran, which will guarantee die.
And it has lost some of its structure since yesterday, so I think by this time tomorrow it will not be classified as a TD.
Or maybe even anything.
Or Iran.
It might not even be a remnant low by tomorrow. It might have already
I
been
think it
dissipated
will,
with.
the way it's been going. I think it will.
Also, that
Yeah.
small southeastern, the little circulation that we detected that I mentioned out northwest of 04B yesterday over South Pakistan has now been absorbed by 04B.
Yeah.
Practically.
Interesting little swirl that
Just
was. I
more
didn't take it seriously at first, but it really was a legitimate system. So, it's things that you don't see every day.
Yep.
Hurricane Tracker said, personally, I think it made landfall at 23rd UTC.
Oh, interesting. Here's another look, loop at the, what am I saying? A loop of the infrared imagery there. A different look with those cloud tops really blowing up in those last frames. Not sure what happened with that ending frame. Let's just jump back to the Pegasa warnings again. If you've not heard so far, this is the update. Signal 3 warnings for the northeastern part coastal area of Isabela, most of Cagayan, all of the coastal areas and inland a little bit. Signal 2 warnings for a lot of those provinces from Ilocos Norte to Ilocos Sur, and on the east coast down to northern Aurora and loads of areas in between. Also for the southern Babayan group of islands, and Signal 1 warnings extending further south as we just pan the map down to Camarines Norte for Quezon, and for various other areas north of Manila up to Pangasinan. Also further north, the Batanes Islands as well. Signal 1 still at this point. Let's take a look once again at the close-up imagery on the infrared. Looking once again, some new frames there. So that sort of, I think, cements my view really that I think it's made landfall on that little bit that juts out, and may make another one shortly and then move inland. And I would say at the moment, if it keeps going the way it is, a couple of hours, it'll be very close to Tugigaro.
Well, the landfall definitely took a more southern approach than what was forecasted.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
But now it's moving north, so we'll probably go through the whole thing.
Tokage is definitely trying to develop an eye-like feature.
Ah, we've been missing that one for a bit. Let's take another look here at Tropical Storm Tokage, I think it's called.
Yeah, I can see what you're
tight structure to it. There it is. Latest frames just showing a little bit of an indentation there, although it would appear that it on satellite it only has half an eye wall by the looks of things, but that could be wrong.
I expect some variable changes within that.
Yeah.
Because it might change over time, like drastically shift.
But it is expected to become a typhoon, and is currently expected to become stronger than Mat-On, according to the JTWC at any rate.
85 miles per hour.
Yeah. If you have further questions for us whilst we're on the air, please send them in, and we are happy to take them on the air live. Here's a forecast cone for Tokage there, a gradual curve northwards and then northeastwards, peaking at 85 miles per hour, and the JTWC cone on Mat-On, which has disappeared down there a little bit there. Of course, the Philippine name is Florita, not to get confused with the other storm that's out there right now. There it is on the JTWC. They expect intensification as soon as it leaves the western coast, it would seem, and then reach typhoon status. Code orange on Ticos.
I would be surprised if it turns into a typhoon and makes landfall to the South China Sea.
We'll keep looking at that.
More energy as it approaches the South China Sea, then strengthens to a typhoon.
We'll keep looking at that, and in a moment, we'll compare it to what the GFS is showing on the latest 18Z run.
I can
pressed the wrong
pull
button
that up.
there. Well, we'll
Nathan, I'll
have
pull
it
that up
on
for you.
our imagery here as well, which we'll be able to
Hold on.
discuss together. But that there is the JTWC cone. Let's see if there's some other views that we've not looked at yet. There's the Eastern Pacific, not much to say there, just those two flare-ups of convection. Back to the Western Pacific, a close-up, well not close-up, but a wide shot of both of those storms currently active right now, and Maon sweeping through Luzon west-northwestwards. I'm not sure what's going on with that loop. What's it doing?
Glitching out.
Yeah, it's glitching out. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Here's another
Well,
geocolor
that's satellite for you.
imagery look, and it just looks like the weight of the storm is continuing to move. It feels like it's moving inland at this point, so I'm pretty sure it's made landfall by now.
Yeah.
And a comment there, what is the latest conditions for Abra, which is a province towards the western side? That's an area that could get quite a lot of rainfall. I don't think your winds will get a little bit gusty, but I don't think they'll get destructive, although there are signal 2 warnings. But it's going to be rainfall mainly for your area, which could reach 10 inches, 250 millimeters quite easily in some locations. Flooding, preparedness, flash flooding, any preemptive measures that can be made for all of that.
I expect
should
some
be
landslide
made.
too.
Yep, should be made right now, because you can see on the satellite imagery in real time that the bulk of the storm is just about to pass over you.
Nathan, I would expect some landslides too.
Yep, landslides, another big threat from this storm, particularly due to its high rain rate, which the highest rain rates are about to reach the coast fairly soon. More comments here. Hacker118 says HKO, Hong Kong Observatory, and SMG, the agency in Macau, predicted Maon will not land on Luzon by taking a northern path, and what do we think about that? At one point, the GFS model, in a few points actually, were sort of taking the storm on a tour round the coast. That appears not to be happening. It seemed to be a little bit outlandish to begin with, but that has not happened, so that forecast is not verified on their part.
Would you like me to go over?
We'll be having a look over there at those models in a few moments, but first, more comments. Is there signal warnings for Hong Kong right now? I don't think so. I'll just check. I imagine they'll be waiting until the storm emerges on the other side, but maybe they are going to try and go in really early. Let me just have a look. I don't think there is.
Yeah, there isn't much. Yeah, I don't think so.
They've just got a very hot weather warning. Very hot weather warning. So, hot. Redneck
What are we
Lover
talking about?
22 says, I'm taking an 8-day cruise to the Western Caribbean on October 29th. When should I start seriously checking hurricane predictions, especially yours, of course? Well, that's nice, but
September.
Yeah.
October 25th. I don't know. It's unpredictable, isn't it? But
December 15th.
no, but we'll probably, when we look at 16 days out, you take a look at the models, and then 10 days out, you get a little bit more confident, and then those are the descriptions that we've got on our tropical weather bulletins. So
I would say probably 3 days before you leave.
watch our TWBs
Check.
at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stay subscribed.
From 10 days before, I would say, the 15th, the 19th.
So overall, just it's peak season. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. Check the hurricane predictions. especially if there are areas of interest, or hell, even tropical cyclones active in any basin. Check your tropical cyclone forecasts. Check your local offices. Doesn't matter if it's the JTWCs, if it's Pagasa, if it's the National Hurricane Center, if it's the IMD, Mateo France, the Bureau of Meteorology. It doesn't matter. It could be the Brazilian Navy, for goodness sake. Just check your local weather office, especially on forecasts for tropical cyclones, especially during your basin's peak season. In this case, the Eastern Pacific, we just got past our peak season. The Atlantic, we're about to reach our peak season. And the Western Pacific, we are practically at peak season right now.
Everything says, could Ma-on track further south, and if so, could it become a major typhoon? No.
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 It won't become
No
a major
major.
typhoon. I'm not sure what a
Maybe
further
a
south track might do to it, really.
I
Be
would
a stronger.
want more rain in
it's
South
a-
China.
It's a possible that it could become a stronger typhoon.
Models are
But
trending
super
south.
like a super typhoon, very
No.
slim.
Models are trending
They're
south.
forecasting a lot of wind shear on it, on the south part, southern.
Anthony says, why was the Atlantic somewhat below average for storms so far this season compared to last season?
I would just say overall, increased wind shear, increased Saharan dust.
Just
I mean-
because the Atlantic is taking a nice nap.
It needs it.
Again,
It does.
We're very happy about that.
We haven't had one
Everybody
since
on the Gulf
2019.
Coast is happy.
I mean,
again,
unless
you
October
shouldn't-
2021.
don't downplay inactive seasons because
It can change very fast.
things
Remember,
can change very
2019
quickly.
happened.
2019, we did expect Dorian to become a Cat 5.
Huh.
Well, not even that.
It
We
was
just
really
had
unexpected.
we had a very active September and October.
Yup.
Alright, Model Mania, here is the system Ma-on right now on the east coast of the Philippines. As you can see, usual Philippine interaction there. What usually happens on the other side of it, the storm grows broader. Although, to be honest, I'm not really... a little bit. And strengthening. Again, GFS suggesting that maybe a quick blow-up at the end will cement Category 1 status, then moving through China, southern China, and dying off very quickly as it moves over. I think that might still be northern Vietnam, actually, towards the end of that 5-day period. So the more this is going on, the more it feels like a straightforward forecast. It shouldn't get beyond Category 1. But the
If
GFS...
it does, that would be remarkable.
It wouldn't be remarkable. It's happened many times in that area of the South China Sea, but it just doesn't feel like that's going to happen. Meanwhile, to the
Only time will
northeast,
tell.
Tokage there, GFS is initializing it as a typhoon with 76 mile an hour winds. So, don't know if our team want to look into that, but that might
I'm
be
gonna
a
look into that
typhoon.
right now.
I
I'm
don't
try-
think so,
Sorry,
personally.
I'm starting to see an eye really trying to form right now on satellite.
Yeah.
And
It's
there's
trying.
the forecast, a small system, but really gets itself going there and is a typhoon for a little bit of time, then moves off extratropical cyclone towards Alaska.
Luckily, no real land threat as a typhoon status. Just
Yup, our team has upgraded Tokage to a Category 1 as of 8:21 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
They also
Ooh.
upgraded Ma-on and Tokage.
No, Ma-on was upgraded to Cat 1 at 3:30 EDT earlier. Tokage got updated just now.
Here's the long-range Atlantic, and you can see that, well, First, you've got that
That's
inverse
depressing.
that does nothing much. Then the second one, and then a third. I think that's a third system there that becomes a tropical storm now. And into hold on a minute. Further towards the west, the first system does actually spin up much later down the line near Cuba. And that would be on the 2nd of September. So this long tracking wave eventually becomes something near Miami, basically. But this is very long range. And then off they go, both these two systems, giving the Outer Banks a run for the money. And there is a substantial hurricane.
I have to interrupt. Nelson just sent this on the live output. And the tweet says, 2 Luzon dams had 1 gate open each on Tuesday morning to release water as severe tropical storm Florita is heading landfall either in Cagayan or in Isabela. So
that sounds about right, though. So just to remind everyone, that model run for the Atlantic is extremely long range, and don't believe a word of it. Basically, Eastern Pacific long range.
I was see if that's right.
Let's take a look here. Just a tropical storm in the very long range. Can't even trust that to happen. Long range Western Pacific. After those two systems exit the stage, we then get just more messy stuff and different storms trying to compete, and one makes it at the very end, but that's once again very long range. Indian Ocean, GFS had 2 potential systems there, one in the South Indian Ocean. There it is again. Oh boy.
Two in the South Indian.
2 of them.
One in the Southwest Indian and one in the Aussie, which likely would get an Indonesian name.
And almost a system in the Arabian Sea as well, but fails. So,
might I also add a storm near Borneo?
I think I saw that one just out the corner of my eye. Yes. So interesting times on the models, but that's all we got to show there. Let's just take a look at the 18Z GFS for the rainfall expectations in the Philippines, because that's probably, and for China, the most important metric right now. Just check this area, and here we are, this massive map of color. Let's just plot out some of these locations and rain amounts. So still we're looking at substantial rain amounts coming up, and yes, quite high values over in China as well. Let's just turn that off for a moment, and you can see all of those rain values. Those are actually off the coast there, off China. But inland, you're looking at maximums now of 12 inches in parts of the Philippines. Over the mountains. So that's
Isolated spots of more.
yeah, probably. So that's about
What?
I apologize to interrupt. However, parts of Luzon may get up to 200 millimeters per hour, which will likely cause mass landslides. That's what I'm seeing here.
200 millimeters per hour?
Yes.
What's that in inches?
It can't be 200 millimeters per hour. I'm sure that would break records.
Oh, no, that is 200 millimeters a day. My apologies.
All right, so yeah, pretty much in line with what we're showing here.
7.9 inches.
Yep, so we're seeing around 300 millimeters for the highs there in Luzon. Along the coast of China, we're probably looking about 250 millimeters there as highs as the storm pushes through. Let's just go back once again to the winds just to show you a look again at the timing of all of this. So according to this GFS model, there it is along the northeastern tip around Santa Ana in about 2 hours, but I disagree with that. It's not going to go that far north. Then it moves into the northwestern tip of Luzon in about 14 hours. And then off it goes into the South China Sea, becoming a typhoon at approximately there, which is 24 hours from now, just a bit more than that. And then off it goes towards Hong Kong. Hong Kong gets its strongest winds there, and the GFS thinks that those winds will be around 60 miles per hour. And that will be at midnight UTC on the 25th, so that's 2 days exactly from now. And then the typhoon force winds along the coast, moving through there to that peninsula, Luzon Peninsula I think it's called, in 2.5 days from now, and then continuing right along the coast, according to that, into Vietnam at around 3 days from now. So there it goes. Interesting to see that. You'll note there that the highest winds in the Philippines probably aren't going to get huge, although the GFS might fail to resolve local gusts. But there we have it. We're sort of running out of time here, so let's take a look at sea surface temperatures with Adafira.
Yes, I always do them. No questions asked. Alright, so let's begin with our Central Pacific, like usual. 27 to 28 near Hawaii and areas around. Do I have that right? I think I do. No, it's 26, 27, my bad. Towards the international date line, those temperatures creeping in from the Western Pacific. Over by Mexico in the Eastern Pacific, it gets to 28 to 29 and 30 along the coast itself, running all the way up from the northern parts of the Gulf of California, all the way down to the border of Honduras and Nicaragua. Now over into the Atlantic, the majority of the Gulf of Mexico is 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. Areas in the northern Bahamas as well, and along parts of Cuba, you can get up to 31. And you can see a long line east of Florida of 30 Celsius waters, thanks to the Gulf Stream, which is causing temperatures all around Bermuda to be 28 to 29. The subtropics south of Canada are rapidly changing depending on latitude. As you can see, those contours are very close to each other.
They always are.
Yeah, pretty much, especially in the subtropics and extratropical regions. Just take a look at Europe. The main development regions, most about 27 to 28 Celsius. And once again, I'm still going to mention the Mediterranean here. Don't blame me for it. Those islands off the coast of Spain. Yep. I forget their names. I think they're the Balearic Islands or something. 28 Celsius around, as well as near the coast of Africa and portions of south of Italy and near Cyprus. Same Persian Gulf, we always mentioned that. Is that a 36 Celsius contour right there? I think it is.
Let me just check that.
Along the coast of Kuwait. It's either a 36 or a 32.
Let's see what we got. The highest on that map is 35.8.
So it's likely a 36.
35.8. No, it won't be a 36.
Ah, okay. So the Bay of Bengal, 28 to 29. The Arabian Sea, about 27 to 28, getting down towards 24. Once again, as you approach the Arabian Peninsula. Let's move over to the Western Pacific, where it's still piping hot like usual. 29 to 30 in the South China Sea. 30s as you go towards the Philippines, near Borneo or the Gulf of Tonkin, along the Strait of Malacca, 30.
Just a
33
slight little area of upwelling there from Maon.
Yep, you can see that. Tokage, I don't think I can see any upwelling from it. Actually, no, I can.
Maybe.
Just a tad bit as well. Where Maon is right now, well, it's about to make landfall. However, it's still partially over 30 Celsius waters. And Tokage, also 29 to 30. Also, east of China gets 30 to 31, in fact, as you get dangerously close to land. I think there's a 32 contour, a very small one.
Of Shanghai?
Southwest, yeah, just south of there.
But it's been well above average all year so far.
Yep. Southwest, or just the southern hemisphere. Since we're running out of time. Southern hemisphere is slightly warming up, however, especially look southwest of Sumatra, unusually warm, and that gives us over to this oddly zoomed in SST anomalies. Atlantic above average, especially the subtropical regions over near Europe, it gets below. Mediterranean's above. Eastern Pacific is above. Central Pacific is about near to above with some pockets of below. You can still see the La Nina full swing, obviously.
Gulf of
The West
Mexico
Pacific-
increasing that heat anomaly as well just now.
Yes, I have noticed that. Also off the coast of Baja. The West Pacific, near to above average. You can see small pockets of above creeping in from thanks to the La Nina. The Bay of Bengal is near to above. The Arabian is near to below. And the areas southwest of Sumatra and in the Indonesian service regions, oddly above, and the South Pacific above. Interesting. Now our ocean heat content. The Atlantic, especially in the northwest Caribbean, very high levels of ocean heat content.
Has been that way for a while, and
It has.
Those
This
colors
dot south of Louisiana has been here for a while too.
Those dark red colors don't usually last very long, but there they are.
Yeah. Here is our North Pacific view. Hold on, let me see Mexico there. You can see the East Pac is small bubbles, but not much. The West Pac is very high, like usual. However, Tokage doesn't have much to work with. Maona had a good amount to work with. In fact, a great amount. And finally, the South Pacific. Good amounts north of Fiji and Samoa. Decent, as well as north of Vanuatu. However, as you approach areas where tropical cyclones form much less often, there's not much there. Or there is a lot there, but tropical cyclones can't really go that towards there unless you're probably 2016. Or some other storms I'm forgetting. So yeah, let's take it over to Nathan for the On This Day.
Yep, in just a moment, I'd just like to show everyone just that last bit of information again, just for those who are tuning in late. Signal 3 warnings in effect for the northeastern part of Luzon, for northern Isabela coastal region, and for most of Cagayan. I don't know why my bottom bar has broken, but it has. And some... Oh, that's not the imagery we wanted, nor is that. Where's the imagery that we want?
Technology.
I clicked the wrong one. I just wanted to show everyone just another look at the storm, which we believe has made landfall during this hour, very close to Divilacan, and is probably going to move inland very close to Gigaro very shortly. And with that, we're now going to go to our ending segment with the On This Day. On the 23rd of August 2017, we had Typhoon Hato, which was making landfall near Hong Kong, Macau in China. There it is, Category 3. Harvey was active. It was reaching tropical storm status for the second time in the Gulf of Mexico before it went on to do what it did. And Kenneth was a weakening tropical storm in the Eastern Pacific.
I love the fact that, you know, we mentioned Harvey. Well, Texas is getting downfall, like getting heavy rainfall in those same areas right now.
Yep.
Well,
in the
ironic.
Atlantic, the next name on the list is Danielle still. In the Eastern Pacific, it's Javier. And in the Central Pacific, all together now.
Harvey.
We're still waiting for Jose.
No. Albert.
In the Western Pacific, the next name now is Hinnanor. And in the North Indian Ocean, the next name is Sitrang. Blimey.
This is a dreadful end.
Nathan
In
has
the
become a
Australian
broken
region,
record.
the next name is Darien, the Southwest Indian Ocean, Ashley, and in the next in the South Pacific. The next name is Harley. We'll be back with another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night. Have a good night.